All right, so after getting head kick TKO'd by Islam Makhachev at UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi, what does the future hold for Alexander Volkanovski? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. If you didn't see the fight, it was UFC 294 Abu Dhabi, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski 2, the rematch. Alexander Volkanovski took the fight on short notice, replacing Charles Oliveira, and about 3 minutes into the first round, he eats a head kick. He gets wobbled really bad. He falls against the cage. Islam Makhachev follows up with hammer fists and punches to the face. Volkanovski's eyes roll to the back of his head, and the ref calls off the fight. It's a great first-round finish for Islam Makhachev. It was a great performance, but it's worrying for the future of Alexander Volkanovski, especially if you watched the post-fight press conference. His post-fight press conference, we're going to talk about that today as well, because he seems mentally maybe a little messed up. I'm not necessarily from the head kick, but I do think this head kick knockout is going to make it worse. So if you didn't watch the press conference, he got kind of emotional talking about how he can't handle having time off, and he wants to be active because when he has too much time off, he's doing his head in, is what he kept saying. Basically, he's not happy if he's not fighting or if he's not preparing for a fight. And he said that he doesn't really understand why he feels that way, and he never really believed that it was a real thing. But now here he is with this feeling where whenever he's not in fight camp, whenever he doesn't have a fight ready for him and he doesn't have that to look forward to, he kind of goes to dark places. And he just seems really upset and depressed about it. And I think we all know that mindset is a very important factor in any sport really, but especially in combat sports. You can lose a fight mentally, and that'll lead to you losing physically. And yeah, he doesn't seem to be in the best place mentally right now, and it sounds like that was really the reason he took the fight to begin with, is that he felt like he needed to take a fight. He said in the press conference that he knows taking the fight against Islam on short notice was not a good decision, but he says that he had to do it. That could be just a little bit of coping or a little bit of an excuse, trying to accept the fact that he just got knocked out. But he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would do that, in my opinion. So I think he's being genuine. And I'm wondering what he's going to do next, because I think the obvious thing is that he's going to go back to featherweight. He's going to take some time off, and he's going to fight Ilia Topuria, because Topuria is the next contender at featherweight. But he says that he wants to fight in January. He's practically begging the UFC to get him a fight in January, and I think it's because of this whole not being able to mentally get over not having a fight booked. And he shouldn't fight in January, but it does seem like that this mental obstacle that he's got going could be the end of his career. That's basically the point of this video. This struggle that he's having mentally with not being able to handle being without a fight or being out of fight camp could really be the end of his career, because when you come off a knockout loss like this, you don't want to jump right back in there a few months later with a power puncher. Like, you're still going to have the side effects of a concussion. You'll probably still have a bit of a concussion, and you don't want to get hit in the face by a power puncher when you're concussed. We've seen when guys get knocked out bad and then they jump back in there right away, it doesn't work good. That's bad for them. Think about like Derek Lewis getting knocked out by Tai Tuivasa and trying to jump back in there really quickly against, it was Tai Tuivasa getting knocked out by Cyril Gane really bad, and then jumping back a couple months later against Sergey Pavlovich, and he got messed up bad. He probably would have lost that fight anyways, but I do think the fact that he was coming off of a brutal loss really made it worse. His chin wasn't ready. If these fighters give their chin a bit of a break, oftentimes that helps. It helps with their recovery, but if they take a bunch of damage and they come back in another fight, it doesn't usually go well. So what I'm saying is, when he gets head kick KO'd by Islam Makhachev, and then he comes back in January against Ilia Topuria, he's more susceptible to getting knocked out or to getting rocked, and he might just not perform as good anyways. His reflexes might not be all there. There's a lot of problems with that, and he's getting older. So what I think he needs to do is take a bit of more time off come back at a later date and fight Ilia Topuria, or the winner of Ilia Topuria and somebody else. Hopefully not Max Holloway, because we don't really need to see him fight Max again. But he needs to take time off. And if he doesn't, I'm just going to call it right now. If he doesn't take time off, if he's fighting in January or February against Ilia Topuria, I think he'll lose. And I think we're probably going to see the downfall and the end of Alexander Volkanovski, all because of this mental hurdle that he needs to get over. But if he can get over that, and if he can put it to the side, enjoy time with his family, and rest, and take a good amount of time off, a solid 6 months off, come back at a later time, I think he would beat Topuria relatively easily. I don't think Topuria is an easy matchup, I guess, but he's a very winnable matchup for Alexander Volkanovski. I think Volk is better in pretty much every way other than maybe straight up boxing, but even that, it's still like arguable. He's got better cardio. He's got a little less power, but it's not a big deal when you're more precise and when you're a little bit faster and you have better grappling, better jiu-jitsu, better defense. He's just better everywhere. He's a better fighter, and he should win. But Topuria is this young, hungry, next-generation fighter who hasn't taken that much damage. Volk has taken he's taken a pretty big TKO loss in his last fight, and he needs to be careful going forward. He needs to be cautious, and if he isn't, then we probably will see the end of Alexander Volkanovski's title reign, and we'll see his downfall. Every great champion has a downfall eventually, unless they get out before that happens. Like, even the guy like Khabib would have eventually lost and would have eventually had a downfall. He said it himself. All these great fighters. Think of Tony Ferguson. He's on top of the world for so long, loses to Justin Gaethje brutally, and then it's just a downward spiral after that. Cowboy Cerrone, who's maybe never on top of the world like his entire career, but he was always really good. He was a top 10, top 5 guy, and eventually he just took too much damage. He got too old, and he couldn't win a fight anymore. So I don't want to see that happen to Volk. I hope he's smarter than that. But I do think it's a very real possibility. If you guys agree, then maybe drop a comment below. If you disagree, do the same. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you could subscribe, that would be cool. I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.